Swift tutorial. Today we're going to be building a calculator app in Swift with Xcode 11. This is a beginner tutorial, so we're going to go through it step by step, so please do follow along and let's get into it. So first and foremost, while you're smashing that like button, we're going to create a new Xcode project and we're going to pick a single view application and we're going to call it calculator. And I'll save it wherever you want. So I'm going to put it on our desktop. And let's hit Command R to build and run this empty app. And while it's doing that, let's expand our Xcode window to give ourselves some more room to work. And let's start by going to the storyboard. We're going to do half of this app in the storyboard, and we're going to do some of the actual app layout in code. And we're going to do that to make our life as simple as possible in terms of building this calculator. So what I want you to do is start by changing the background color of this main view to black. Then what I want you to do is come up here and find a UI view, drag it in, and let's add some constraints to it. We're going to do 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's select it. Change the color here to clear color, which is down here at the bottom. Now we're going to go to our view controller. We're going to add an outlet. This IB outlet will be a variable for a holder view that we just dragged onto our storyboard. Let's come back to our storyboard and let's right click on this view controller and drag from holder to holder, like so. And now what we want to do is we want to add a couple buttons and a place where the actual results of our calculation will be shown. So we want to add the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We also want to add the number 0, of course. Alongside that, what we want to do is we want to add the plus, minus, multiply, divide buttons. And we should also add a clear button to clear out the current calculation. And we also want to add a label up here to show our results. So let's actually start with creating the buttons down here. So our number pad and the operation, so plus, minus, multiply, divide. Now we're going to do that in code, so let's get back to our view controller. What we want to do is do a couple things. So first and foremost, let's implement the method viewDidLayout subviews, and we're going to call super viewDidLayout subviews. And in here, the first thing we want to do is set up number pad. And we haven't created this function yet, so come down here and add a private function to set this up. And in this function, what we want to do, oops, let me not spell function incorrectly and it'll work like so, perfect. But in this function, what we want to do is create the number pad. So the size of each button, if you go to the native calculator app that's built into iOS, is 1/4 the width of the screen, and the height is the same, so it's actually a square button. So what we want to do in here is get button size, and we can say the width divided by 4. And the reason we went with 4 is we're going to have numbers across, so like 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to have the operations over here, so the plus sign might be here. But yeah, we're going to do view.frame.size.width divided by 4, and that'll give us our button size. The first button we're going to add at the bottom is 0 button, and it's going to be a button. It's going to be a frame. Let's do a rect to start it with. It's going to be 0 from here. From the top of the screen, we're going to do the view's height minus the button size. The width is going to be button size times 3 because we want the 0 button to take up 3 spots. And we'll see that in practice in just a second. And the height is going to be button size as well. Now let's add this button to our holder. Like so. And of course, let's set the title for this button. And let's run this app. If you give it a second, you'll see that we'll have a 0 down here, which it seems like we don't have. And I believe it's because we have the title of this button showing up as black color. So let's actually come and add a background color to the 0 button. Let's say background color equals white, like so. Come back here, and we should see a button, like so. And we can see it's a little cut off at the bottom, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's change the title color of this button so we can actually see our text on it. We're going to make it black, and again, it'll be normal. Run it one more time, and we should see 0. And just like that, we have this button here, but 0 is at the very bottom, which doesn't look too great. So let's see, how can we best fix this? So we have a UI button, we have 0 from the left. The height of the view, which is actually incorrect, we actually want the holder. That's why we're a little off. So let's actually run this, because the holder is actually a little less than the height. Beautiful. So now it's centered, and now it's actually not even overlapping as expected. So we have a 0. Now we want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's do that. And what we're going to do that is we're going to use a for loop to add 3 at a time to make our boilerplate a little less. Let's copy this. And let's do for x in 0 to 3, we're going to create a button, and let's call it button 1. And what we're going to do is the actual text of the button will be x plus 1, so 1 to 3. This basically says for x in 0 up until 3, so 0, 1, 2. The x and the y is going to change. We're going to subtract this times 2. The button width, again, will just actually be this button width, and the height, or sorry, button size. And let's see, we're getting an error here because that should go there. And what else do we need to change? So every time this loop occurs, we're going to have x be 0, so it's going to overlap. So we actually want to do button size times x, which will be 0 the first time, and we should see our buttons. And again, this is giving us an error because this button size is actually supposed to be a CG float. So let's come add that up here, and this should go away. This button times the 2. Whoops. Or button size times this is supposed to be 0 actually. Sorry, x. And x is actually also an int in this case, so this x needs to be a CG float. So we can do button size times CG float of x, like so. And let's just run this to make sure that we see our 1, 2, 3 above the 0. Beautiful, like so. And let's copy and paste this 2 more times to do the rest of our numbers. And we're going to actually keep this from 0 to 2, but we're going to change a couple things because we're duplicating the name of this button. So let's actually say button 2. And let's also come down here and say button 3. Now I've named these button 1, 2, and 3, but they're actually in loops. So we're going to create 3 on each of these loops. And let's go ahead and change a couple things. So for the numbers 4, 5, 6, we want to say x plus 4. And for 7, 8, 9, we want to say x plus 7. For the actual position of the button, what's going to change is the y. So button size times 3 and button size times 4. And I believe that's all we need to do to get our buttons. Let's run it and see what we get. Cool, so we have our buttons set up. Next, what we want to do is add our operation buttons. So we're going to do plus, minus, multiply and divide, and we want to add a big clear button up here. So for the clear button, what we'll do is copy the 0 button that we've added, and coming down here, let's set up a clear button like so, and the text is going to be clear. Let's do clear all, and the x and the x isn't going to change, but the y is going to be the height subtracting button size times 5. The width is actually going to be button size times 4, which is the same as the view dot frame dot size dot height, and the height will also be button size. So that's our clear button. Before we run it one more time, let's copy one of these loops. We are going to create the operation loops, the operation button, so plus, minus, multiply, divide in a loop as well. And we want to create them bottom up. So we're going to actually create the first one down here, and the loop is going to move them up. And let's create in here an array called operations, which is going to hold the text for our buttons. For divide, we're just going to use a slash in this case because we don't have the divide sign and I don't know what the hotkey for that is. So we're going to say for x in 0 to 4, we're going to call this button 4 so the names don't overlap. We're going to say the text is operations x. And let's see, now what we need to do is actually change the values of all the XY stuff. So we're going to say the X is going to be the button size times 3 for all of them. And the Y, we're going to have to have the Y change as this loop occurs. So we're going to say it's going to be the holder's height minus button size times X. Now we're going to wrap X in CG float. And the size and height, or the width and height of the button will just be button size. And that should give us our buttons, but it looks like we have an error here. So let's take a look at this. We have holder size height, and we have button size. Okay, wanted a space. So let's run this, and we should see our buttons here, and it looks like we do, but they need to be moved up. So let's see what we've got going on here. So we actually have holder height minus button size times the X plus 1. Because X starts at 0, so we need to move up. Now we're looking like we're in good shape with our buttons here. And we have this clear button here too, but we're missing the term clear all. So let's do some styling. So let's change the background color of the operation buttons. And actually it's right below it. So what we can do here is let's change the title color to be white, the background color to be orange. Let's come take a look at this clear button. We can see the title is clear all, the background is white, the text color is, or the title color is black. X is 0, Y looks correct to me. And let's see, what else do we need to do? The width is the view's width. Yeah, this is what we're doing wrong. The width needs to be the width of the view, not the height. And the height is button size. If we run this one more time, we should get our pad looking good. Very similar to the built-in calculator in iOS. Now what we need to do is make all these buttons work and put the label here where we're going to show our result. So what we're going to do for this result label is we're going to come up here and we're going to say private let's see, let's do a var. Private var result label is a label, and this is going to be a label. And the label is going to have a text to start off with as 0. The label is also going to have a text color of white. The label is going to have a text alignment of right. Let's make the size a little bigger of the text that's going to go in here, which is font. And we want UI font with name. We're going to pick Arial and we're going to give it a size of 24. Like so. And what we're going to come down here and do is configure the frame for our labels. So we're going to say our result label dot frame equals cgrect. The x is going to be 0. The y is going to be well, let's do the y at the end. So we're going to do the width actually first because we know it's going to be the view's width. The height, let's do 100. And let's actually take the clear button that we added, its frames origin y, and we're going to subtract 100 from this. And in here, we want to add this result label to our holder, like so. And we should see 0 at the top if we've calculated it correctly, like so, but it's flushed to the side too much and the font size is way too small. So let's first fix the fact that it's flush to the side of the screen by giving it 20x, and the width is going to be the width of the screen minus 40. And let's fix that font size up here by saying, let's use Helvetica bold, and let's make this 32 and see what we get. So looking better, still a little small. Let's try maybe 120, which might be a little excessive. Okay, it's a little obnoxious, but we're getting there. Let's do 100, and let's try just Helvetica. And in the frame, let's also, in the Y position, instead of subtracting just 100, let's do minus 110, which will give us a buffer on the bottom of this label, like so. So now we just need to make all these buttons work. So how the heck do we do that? Well, let's talk about the logic here. When we press any of these buttons, we want to take the value in here and basically append the button to the string. So we don't want to type in like 1 and 2 and see a 3 here because it's adding them. What we press here is what we want to see appear. As far as these operation buttons go, if we let's say type in 1 and then press plus, after that, any button we press up here should be the new button typed out. And I guess we need an equal button too, right? That's, I guess, something we forgot to add. So let's actually add the equal button in just a second here. But once you hit equal, we should see the result up here. So there's a couple of things we're going to need to do. The clear action is pretty simple. So let's actually start with that. And the way we add an action to a button is by saying clear button, the name of the button, add target. We're going to say self. The action will be a selector. And we're going to create this function in just a second. We're going to call it clear results. And it's going to be for touch up inside. Let's come down here and create a function with Objective-C in the front of it. And the reason we need Objective-C is because that's how selectors get called. And we're going to say the result labels text is 0. And now what we need to actually also do is add the equal button. And what we'll do is we'll add it at the beginning of this. But let's also take our clear button and get subtract some of the width of it to give us room to show the equal button. It'll be down here. So we have equal plus minus, equal plus minus, and actually the reason we're not seeing the last one, which is divide, is because we need to also bump up this number. And once we've bumped up this number, if we go and run and build one more time, we should see that the buttons look good as expected. Now let's make these buttons work. So For clicking on a button, like we mentioned, we just want to update the value here. So what we're going to actually do is write out that function first. So we're going to say func button, let's say number pressed, and we're going to put in here a sender. It's going to be a UI button. And what we're going to do in here is say tag equals sender.tag -1. And we actually don't need the semicolon. And we'll explain this tag business in just a second here. We're going to say if result label.text is 0, then we want to update the result text to tag. Otherwise, what we want to do in here is say that the results labels text is the result label current text plus the value of tag. So where the heck did we get tag from? And why is this complaining? The reason this is complaining is because string interpolation produces a debug description, which is irrelevant. So let's actually ignore this for now. But this tag is actually something we're going to set on all the buttons. Because all the buttons are going to call the same function, we need to distinguish how these each button's like value is going to be corresponded. And the reason we're subtracting 1 is because we're not going to supply 0 to any of the buttons as their tags. So 1 will be the lowest, but for the actual value, we want it to be 0, hence the subtraction. So let's go and add values to all of these. So the 0 button is going to have a tag of 1. For these guys, what we want to do is we're going to say the tag is x plus 2, which basically says when we start at 0, the button that has 1 is going to be 2, so on and so forth. In this case, we're going to say the tag is x plus, I guess, let me see. So in this case, we did x plus 2 because we wanted to start at 1. And in this case, we're going to do x plus 5 if I'm not mistaken. And if I am, we'll come back to this. And this last one, we want to do x plus 8 because we're going to subtract. And the first one we're going to be subtracting to is 7. So that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and run this. So this one is giving an error because this is actually button 3. So let's actually go and run this and see what our label does. So if we hit 8, nothing in fact happens. And the reason nothing happens is because I forgot to add a target. So for these buttons, we want to say add target, self, number pressed, and we want to do touch up inside. Let's actually copy this. We're going to paste it in both of these and change the value. So we're going to say for this one, we want button 1, and this one button 2. Let's run it one more time. If I hit 7, we see a 7, 8, and we see this optional stuff, which is not what we want. So what we can say here is, in this case, if else if let text equals this, we can say the result label text equals the text plus the tag in front of it. So let's actually run this one more time, and we'll see we can hit 7, 8, 9, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Clear? So it actually works pretty similar to the calculator. Now we just need to make the actual calculator part work. So how do we do that? We need to actually create 2 variables that one can hold as number 1 and result number. And number 1 is going to be whatever the first thing you enter here is. So for example, 25. When I hit plus, we're going to clear this back and the person can enter a new number. When they hit equal, we want to show the sum or whatever the operation is. If I had equal right now without anything being there, nothing should happen because there's no other number. So we need to do a couple things that I kind of just mentioned there. The first thing is we need to define those two variables. We'll call it first number. We'll call it 0 by default. Result number, which we'll also call 0. And let's see. We also want to create an enum, which is going to be operations. And in here, we're going to say the cases are add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And we also want to add a variable here, which is going to be current operation. And that's going to be an operation. Let's call this operation, not plural. And this question mark is optional because by default we have no operation. Now, what we want to do is create a similar function to this. And we're going to say operation pressed. We're going to again get the tag and do something different with it. So let's come back to this for loop where the operations are being created. And we're going to say this, add target, self, selector, operation pressed. And this is going to be for touch up inside. And so we see the operations, the order that we put them in here is equal, plus, minus, multiply, divide. So let's also set tags on here. So we're going to say button forward.tag is x plus 1 because we start at 0 for x, so we want to start at 1. And in here what we can do is we can say, this is irrelevant actually too, but what we can say is if tag equals 1, do this, else do this. So that's going to be the first one is equal, then add, subtract, multiply, divide. And we can bump these as well. Now when we hit one of the operations, what do we want to do? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to save into first number whatever the number is inside the current result label. So we're going to get the result label.text. And actually this might be empty. So what we should do is we can say if let text equals result label.text. You should save the number. And the actual text of the result label is in the type of a text. So we want to wrap it as an int. Like so. And let's see, can we convert this to an int? It does not seem like we can. And the reason is because this is optional. So let's take this and put this in here instead. We want to get an int of this text like so. And it looks like we still have an error. There's an optional value of this int must be unwrapped. So what we can actually do is we can say this let value equals int of the text, and we can have this first number equal value. Then what we want to do is actually come up here and add another case to our operations enumeration, and that's going to be equal. And let's take this variable and come back to that function, and the first one is going to be, this is going to equal this is going to equal add, this one's going to equal subtract, multiply, and divide. Cool. So the other interesting thing that we didn't consider is once the person hits any of these, what we want to do is either save them or we want to do an operation. So the only value or the only button we need to do an operation on theoretically is when you hit equal. So actually having equal in here, now that I think about it, is irrelevant. What we want to check in here is if the tag is 1 And if let the operation equals current operation, in other words, there is an operation set, we can switch the operation and we can start handling the various cases. And we added equal up above, and now that I think about it, we actually don't need the equal because there's no reason to save the equal. So let's come up here and remove this equal from in here. Coming down here. So this is giving us errors because we're not doing anything in here yet. So for now, let's add break to all of these to get rid of this error. And you just saw me do that alignment. You can actually highlight something and click Control I, which will align the tabs for you. But yeah, so we've basically saved the first number as this value. And the other thing that we want to do now is set the result labels text equal to 0. In here, what we want to do is, let's see, so we have a first number that we've set the value to. And what we want to do is we only want to set the first number value if the text isn't nil, if the value gets created from the text, and if the first number equals 0. Then we can set the first number. Otherwise, what we want to do is if the person hits equal and they already came through here, meaning they already have a first number that's set, if they add, we want to add the first number and then whatever the heck is in here. So let's actually come into this case where we have the switch, and we can say var second number equals 0, and we can paste this, which is if let text equals a result label text, and if the value is an int from that text, we can say the second number equals value. And now it's just a matter of actually doing the operation. So this is yelling at us because second number is a 0, and what's the problem? It says value. A second number was written to but never used, so we need to use it. So in other words, here we want to say the actual like sum in this case would be the first number, while it's not deciding to autocomplete, plus the second number, like so. And let's copy and paste this a few times. So that's subtract, multiply, divide. So obviously we need to update these accordingly. And there's a couple of things to keep in mind here. Now we haven't explicitly designed this calculator to support decimals. So if you try to divide, let's say 2 into 5, you'll probably see a integer, a whole number, instead of 2.5. So that's an important consideration to make when building an app like this. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to stay away from the decimal point. So now that we have a result, we want to update our result label, our result labels text to that results. Let's copy and paste this a few more times. And I believe that should do everything we need. This is yelling at us that we don't need this default case because we've already handled all the other cases. Let's run and see if we messed anything up and if it works. So we're going to do 25. We're going to hit plus 5. And we're going to say equals. And cool. Look at that. We got 30. Let's try a couple more. Let's do 89 divided by 9. Wow, it seems like clicking any of these don't work. Huh. That's a cool little bug we just found. So when we actually hit clear, we also want to reset the values in our first number and the operation. So we want to say the current operation is nil once we hit clear, and we want to say first number is 0. So like that, we can come into here and do 89. divided by 9 equals 9. And let's clear this and do 125 times 5. I believe that's 600 or 625. Let's do something a little larger. Let's do 1280. And it looks like hitting 0 actually doesn't work. So let's see what we did with the 0 here. So I don't believe we actually implemented the 0 functionality. So let's actually add a target for hitting the 0 button. So let's say 0 button, add target, self. For the action, we're going to do a selector. We're going to do 0 tapped. And this is going to be for touch up inside. Let's go implement this really fast. It's going to be very similar, if not identical, to number tapped. But because it's only for 0, we explicitly know what to do. Let's copy the code in here. And we can say if the result labels text is 0, we actually don't want to do anything. And we can say, okay, if it's, let's say the result label text is not 0, and if let the text of result label text is something, we put it in here. We're going to say result label text, take the text and append on the 0 at the end of it. So let's run this, and it looks like we have an error here. Let's see. And actually we want to append on 0, not tag, because we copied it from here. There is no tag in this function. So let's type in 250. Beautiful. We're going to do multiplied by 4. Get 1,000. And note we don't have any comma support in here or anything. It's a pretty bare bones calculator, but I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's pretty cool. It all works. So let's try one last one before we wrap up this video. So let's do something a little longer. So 65,025. Let's subtract 57,989. And let's see what we get. Cool. I don't know if that's correct, but I am guessing that it is. Let's try something a little different. Let's try having 5, and let's try subtracting 25 and see what we get. So look at that. We actually didn't even bother explicitly supporting negatives, but our calculator does in fact support negatives. But that's about it. So let's do a quick wrap up. So in the view controller, we have a few properties, one for our holder, an enumeration for our actual types of operations. And other than that, we have the result label. In view did layout subviews, we call this function that creates all of our buttons. So our 0 button, our 3 sets of numbers, so 1 to 9. We also create the clear button, as well as our operation buttons, which include the equal, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Then we have a few functions that actually implement those operations, like so. And in our storyboard, we have gone and added that one view, and we've connected it to holder. And that's about it. This is a calculator in a nutshell. I will be uploading this code to my GitHub to share with you all in case you want to download it. Feel free. If you have comments, concerns, please do leave it below if I could help you out in any way. Smash that like button. It helps out the video a lot. Subscribe if you're new. I do daily Swift tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.